What the fuck? Nice, nice, nice. See, so I am back as we discussed the day before yesterday. That all I had to do was return back. The king is back, bro. It is really difficult because the time frame is so short, man. But it is what it is. It is the reality. You had to go and you had to do your work, and you have to love it, man. And I love this shit. You know. Let's get focused. Start with a chess match, 1 or 2, and then we will get focused back to our studies. In the meantime, drink up or whatever you want to do. Let's go. Yikes. This was just too bad. 3 mega blunders, bro. Oh. This is some kind of bullshit. That is nice. Now, time you all have been waiting for, baby. The session 13 is starting at 12, 2 o'clock, 2 p.m. Session 13 has started. 14:09. Bro, this is going to be the test. All I have to do is just study 30 minutes of time. This will be the test of the method, basically. That now you just started doing. You just start doing. We'll see later what would happen. Just do. Just do. More difficult and boring aspects will be done now so that we don't suffer later. That is the whole technique. That is the whole thing. Probably we will be able to do 5 sessions like this, and then only 2 remaining. Oh, that would be the end of it. You will get 2 hours, bruv. 2 hours. 2 hours. You will get. It is hard. That's why it is hard. It is hard work. Hard work. That is why it's hard work, bro. That is why it's hard work. Do you understand how much time it takes to study for 10 hours? 4 session less. 4 session less. Just 4 session less, and you are reading for 10 hours. If I had to, that would mean 8 hours and a break. There is no guy who can read for 10 hours without a break. He is fooling you all if he or she claims that. Without our 10 hours for 3 years straight, impossible. It is impossible. His studies will be very bad. That is what it is. Now, we start the session and we will look into just the last session. What we did was we looked into uh, nationalism. First, we understood the phase one of the early, then phase two that started from 1905. Well, around 1905. Then slowly we progressed till 1919 routed, and I remember we had to start at NCM, but still. So we will be rolling. Then comes Surat Split, then comes Murli Minto as Carrot and suppression of others. Then comes the Studious Severus. ML is formed in the meantime, but young Muslims have no interest in ML, and then we have your Lucknow, legendary Lucknow meeting in AC Majumdar's presidency. Then we have the demands on Montagu, which would mean that you have to provide half, that is majority, and majority until self-rule is given, self-government is given, you will have to provide responsible and elected majority. That is what was asked for. And now NCM. NCM. At the end of World War One, Turkey was divided and Sultan was undermined by Britain and their allies. Anti-British sentiment was built up due to the events of Khilafat. On this, All India Khilafat conference was held at Delhi in 1919. So this All India Khilafat conference on the question of Treaty of Separation, the Bezati of the Turkish Caliphate Khilafat was formed. Fundamental weakness of this is that the unity that was formed was in effect communal in its own nature. It recognized that there were two factions of Indian Muslims and Indian non-Muslims. That it was recognized. Then there were all India, all party meeting, boycott of school, colleges, all Khilafat committee announces non-cooperation movement. This is not the first time the non-cooperation movement has been invoked. At the very least, Swadeshi movement was the first to have uh, that. All right, Swadeshi movement. Uh, now we move forward. We see and talk about yeah. What was the next? Then, obviously, non-cooperation was with taxes with respect to Kheda. That we will not give taxes or land revenue because the crop had failed. All right. Gandhiji in early 1920 had said Khilafat superseded Jallianwala Bagh because it is Jallianwala Bagh is a local issue while Khilafat, a national issue, brought urban Muslims to nationalist movement. As unity at all time high and people masses see government as opposition, perfect time to struggle for Swaraj, NCM was formed. So first Gandhiji made sure that Muslims were coming in the movement. So he recognized Khilafat over Jallianwala Bagh by giving a geographical definition of importance. Not saying that one cause is greater or lesser than other, but saying that one thing is local, that the atrocities were being committed all over the country, similar to these ones, similar to this one. Jallianwala Bagh was a very gruesome optics. It was with very gruesome optics, but similar kind of atrocities were happening in different parts of the country. So to not undermine any part of the country, so which means that Gandhiji saw India as a territorial entity. It does not mean, but in some sense he is okay with it, that this particular territory which is surrounded by water from three sides and has Himalayas on and has mountains of Hind Kush and Himalayas, is what we will call as India. Something in between this, right? That is what he said with this. Now, now NCM is of full unity. In Nagpur session, C. Vijay Raghav Chari, NCM was officially passed and confirmed. Nagpur session. Before it, in Calcutta, the special session was held in 1920, in which INC approved NCM, and then in Nagpur session it was passed and confirmed. Boycott, civil disobedience movement, school, foreign clothes, the foreign clothes. Yes, this is a great debate between Hasrat Mohani and Mahatma Gandhi on the topic of whether a non-cooperation movement should we completely boycott clothes or only the clothes of British or completely foreign, which would mean that it would have been number one if Hazrat Mohani was saying that only British clothes to be boycotted, British companies were to be boycotted, and other nations' country were not to be. It would do two things at the very least. It will hurt the British economy, and secondly, it would empower other rival colonial and imperial powers, which would reduce the drain of wealth and probably create a buffer and counterbalance. A diplomatic decision would have been this. Now, in counter of this, Mahatma Gandhi said that what we want is non-cooperation. We do not want uh, in this we are supporting Swadeshi. It is to build our own strength. So to just again buy a foreign output into our uh, home, the purpose will be defeated because self-reliance will not be maintained in some sense. Second, it is so this was the moral. Second will be this was a moral disposition. Mahatma Gandhi said that we do not want to punish the British or attack them. We want to build our movement uh, on self-reliance part. I have the transcripts. Wait a moment. Wait a moment. I should not put words in the mouth of the great Mahatma Gandhi. Let me pull out my Kindle and I will tell you the story of what happened between. Oh, this is discharged. Let's see if I have Kindle right here or not. Let's see. It will not take too much. Just install and then will. So in the moment, this was there. So boycott and Hasrat Mohani and Gandhiji's debate was in NCM, just like we placed a memory placeholder as Lytton versus Anand Mohan Bose and Surendranath Banerjee, written on one side, N.A.M. Bose and S.N. Banerjee, and Indian National Association on one side. Similarly, Yes. Among the numerous resolutions that were passed at this conference, one called upon both Hindus and Muslims to take the Swadeshi vow, and as natural corollary to it, to boycott foreign goods. Khadi had not yet found its proper place. This was not a resolution that Hazrat Sahib would accept. His object was to wreak vengeance on the British Empire in case justice was denied in the matter of the Khilafat. Accordingly, he brought in a counter proposal for the boycott purely of British goods, just as I said. I opposed it on the score of principle, as also practicability, adducing for it those arguments they have now become pretty familiar. I also put before the conference my viewpoint on non-violence. I noticed that I made a deep impression on the audience. Before me, Hassan's speech has been listened with such loud acclaim that I was afraid that mine would only be a cry in the wilderness. I had made bold to speak only because I felt that it would be a dereliction of duty not to lay my views before the conference. But to my agreeable surprise, my speech was followed with the closest attention by those present, and evoked a full measure of support among those on the platform, and speaker after speaker rose to deliver speeches in support of my views. The leaders were able to see that not only would the boycott of British good fail of its purpose, but would, if adopted, make of them a laughing stock. There was hardly a man present in that assembly but had some article of British manufacture on his person. Many of the audience therefore realized that nothing but harm could result from adopting a resolution that even those who voted for it were unable to carry out. Mere boycott of foreign clothes cannot satisfy us, for who knows how long it will be before we shall be able to manufacture Swadeshi clothes in sufficient quantity. And before we can bring about an effective boycott of foreign clothes, we want something that will produce an immediate effect. Let your boycott of foreign clothes, and we do not mind it, but give us something quicker and speedier in addition. Even as I felt that something new over and above would be necessary, an immediate boycott of foreign clothes seemed to me also to be a clear impossibility at the time. I did not know that we could, if we like, produce enough khadi for our clothing requirement. This was only a later discovery. On the other hand, I knew even then that if we depended on the mills alone for effecting the boycott, we should be betrayed. I was still in the middle of this. Demla concluded his speech. I was handicapped for want of suitable Hindi or Urdu words. This was my first occasion for delivering an argumentative speech for an audience, especially composed of Muslims of the North. I had spoken in Urdu at the Muslim League at Kolkata, but it was only for a few minutes, and the speech was intended only to be feeling appeal. Here I was faced with a critical, if not hostile, audience to whom I had to explain and bring home my viewpoint. But to place before the gathering my views in such spoken Hindi as I could command, and in this I was successful. This meeting afforded me a direct proof for the fact that could Hindi Urdu alone could become the lingua franca of India. Had I spoken in English, I could not have produced the impression that I did on the audience, and the Maulana might not have felt called deliver his challenge, nor if he had delivered it could I have taken it up effectively. I could not hit upon a suitable Hindi, but that put me out somewhat. At last I described it by the word non-cooperation, an expression that I used for the first time at this meeting. As the Maulana was delivering his speech, it seemed to me that it was a vain for him to talk about effective resistance to government, which he was cooperating more than one thing. If resort to arm was impossible under that, only two resistance there were. Before this, I added the word non-cooperation. I had not then clear idea of its manifold implications. I therefore did not enter it. I simply said the Muslims had adopted a very important resolution that the peace terms are unfavorable to them, which may God forbid they will stop all cooperation. Thus to withhold cooperation, we are not bound to retain government titles, honors, or to continue in government service. If government would betray us in a great cause like Khilafat, we could not do otherwise than non-cooperate. Non-cooperate. The arguments are not clear as such, but yeah. So yeah, simply this. So Gandhiji won, titles and honors were given away. Inalienable right to non-cooperate. But the basis was on the basis of Khilafat. As you saw in my experimental truth book. Changes in Constitution by GG. I call Gandhiji GG. Congress became a continuous political organization, which would mean that previously Indian National Congress used to meet only at the sessions, but now they have a working committee. It was decentralized. Fighting untouchability was also added. Result: Congress becomes leader and organizer of mass struggle and movement. Imagine Bachendra Pal left INC. Movement ran through Tilak Swaraj Fund. Result: Education. Jamia Millia Islamia, Gujarat Vidyapeeth, Bihar Vidyapeeth and Kashi. Gujarat, Bihar and Kashi, that is Allahabad के आसपास का इलाका. Women figuring in bonfire of foreign cloth. Army, All India Khilafat Committee, no Muslim in British Indian Army also passes. Only Khadi to be worn, Hindu to fight untouchability. UP, tenants refuse land tax. Eka rebellion. Punjab, Akali movement against corrupt Hans and Mupla rebellion, with which later the support was taken away. On foot we saw. Now we see this. Where is the value addition? Okay, so value addition is not with this. Chauri Chaura, CWC meets at Bardoli and stops in CM. Kamal Pasha lost its significance, abolished the caliphate. CM, full vertical and horizontal spread of national fear of British rule was lost from the mind. Swaraj is to enter, legislature obstructs, expose weakness, allows public enthu, etc. No changes, oppose false entry, blah blah blah. Communism, raise the ugly head. Alright. Session 13 is over. Session 13 is over. Now the last set of my notes would remain. Bullet is not chess. I don't play chess. I just yikes. Oh, he's messed up. Okay. Damn. Oh, nice mate. That was nice. He found good mate. That was good. That was beautiful. That was beautiful. Oh yeah! Teeth also, teeth करने की bro. When we do 15th, we will be celebrating, bro, because we will be halfway through. We will be halfway through. Woo! Yes, bro. I will take a piss, then I will come back. Yo, I'm back. Alright. So, go forward. NCM was done. The memory place holder would simply remain. Someone gave me fought and fought on the basis that their ideas clashed, and the result was foreign clothes were there, and non-cooperation word first time came to Gandhiji in that particular Aligarh meeting. Not the Aligarh Congress, but some kind of uh, before Nagpur. Before Nagpur, what it is? Bombay. Before Nagpur, it was no Bombay or Calcutta. Calcutta session or Bombay session. See, the confusion is very large. Large amount of confusion is there. The Calcutta. It was Calcutta, and also the Constitution proved. Now, NCM was done, but the problem was it was taught by Chauri Chaura's violence, and basically nothing was achieved apart from a national movement that was created. The sensation of nationalism fell was felt over the whole nation. Gandhiji received flack for doing that, but it was basically the moral high ground that he built up, which would defeat. Oh, here it is. That he would defeat the British, and moral high ground taking was very important for a movement to succeed. All right. Now, We have in CM. Obviously, Swarajist and no changes will be there. Swarajist and no changes are are different from responsivists and non-responsivists. Responsivists, Mohan Malviya and others, uh, Kelkar, I guess, CK and all of that. But that is not our point. The point is who were the Swarajists? Chittaranjan Das was the Swarajist, and who was the no changers? Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel. These two people I remember, but there must be more. There must be. Oh my god. CKSP had responses, supported, cooperated with the government in return for safety of Hindu interests. Okay, the responsibilists were with Swarajist only. Alright. Now the big chunk. The big chungus is upon us. Yes. 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 This is big. Big. सामने वो घटाएं आती है पास रहता है मेरे दिल में रहता है मेरे दिल में आती है पास रहता है दूर रहता है Where the hell it went away? जब से देखा है तेरी नाम को हल्का हल्का basically told about HSRA. So we got revolutionaries. ये तो था यार पास रहता है दूर रहता है मेरे दिल में जरूर रहता है yes we found it so new development 1927 the politics of India was at a low point responsivists were there didn't have a president so India was given two items either go revolutionary or follow socialism. So, Rise of Left Wing was formed in INC, and youth also joined the Center for Political Struggle. No longer the youth followed old people's ideas. Now, the definition of socialism is basically when the uh, when this when the means of production are held by the public as a whole, then that system means of production, distribution, exchange. When that is held by this means of production, basically, is held by the public as a whole, then that system is known as socialism. Let me show you the graph. That is a good graph that must be seen. Now, oh, this one. Socialism is an ideology to create a socialist society, a social, political, and economic system which means of production, is distribution, and exchange are owned by the community as a whole and not by private. Just exactly that I told. And communism, private property does not mean personal property. Private property and personal property are two different things entirely. Private property and personal property's major difference is the usage and rights. When you own private property, then you hold the right to withhold the profits from others. So if you hold particular thing with your possession, and personal use, personal property is the item that you use for your personal, the use is in personal space, personal situation, right? Toothbrush is a personal property, but a company, a factory, a printing press is private property, because the profit that you can earn from that particular property, you decide how the profits are sliced up between different people. If you want to give zero to your workers, you can give zero to your workers. Nobody would work for you, but you can do that. And our communism is the ideology to create a communist society, which would mean that there would be no state, no money, and no classes. There are no communist states. There have been no communist states. Or see, I wrote lockdown as if it would be a one-off thing and somebody would ask it in the exam. सामने वो घटाए आती है सामने वो घटाए आती है पास रहता है दूर रहता है मेरे दिल में जरूर रहता है was involved in Indo-German conspiracy on around 19. M.N. Roy, first Indian president of Communist International, believed in complete independence to make this happen. Muscles. Bourgeoisie. Aristocracy. Youth seek new paths due to failure of NGM polygon. Intellectual leaders as students. Intellectual leaders as students. All India Bengal Conference, presided by J. Nehru in 1928. Peasants and workers riled up. Peasants due to tenancy and taxation. When you talk about tenancy, then you are talking about the contract. And taxation is just that. So basically, if you tenancy and taxation is sort of redundant, just talk about tenancy, because these tenancy is nothing but the terms in which the land was given to you for your use, how it was given, what were the conditions that were Spreading on communist ideas, conspiracy, Safan Ahmad, trade union related. Ah, ah, आती है आ Hindustan Republic Association, Kabuli conspiracy, revolution, Bismil and Ashfaq, Chandrasekhar Azad. Kakori was a train robbery for armed revolution. Bar, bar, killed Sondar. Bismil Chandrasekhar Azad. Chandrasekhar Azad and Ashfaqullah. Bismil Ashfaqullah. The Hindustan Republic Association had Muslims, notable Muslims, which were music with the bombs and the legislation to the people. Revolution by mass was required the bomb on the stage. 929. That in the news, how the propaganda was running at that time. How difficult it must have been to counter, bro. These are the people that were hard. Man, we don't know, and I don't want to know. My life is so good. Everybody's life is good who is in peace. They would be fools to change it for something that is not peaceful, man. The biggest शहीद दिवस 23 मार्च Bar attacked Sonda and Bhagat Singh and B.K. Dutt bombed Central Legislative Assembly. Then there were Chittagong revolutionaries. They were Chittagong. So Dhaka Samiti was by Pulandas. He was interested in wrestling, right? Stick. I'm sorry, stick shit. Whatever was that. Um, Pulling Das. Pulling Bihari Das. Yes, this guy. He saw the independent India. What else did he wish for? That is nice. Anushilan Samiti, Dhaka Samiti, I would say. Pum, 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 param, 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 and Dhaka Cha. Bangiya Byaya. Yes, yes. Pulandas refused to accept the leadership of Mohandas Nandi. क्या कोलकाता where is going on? Dushman Dr. Ansari. INC boycotts. His Simon Commission and then also supported INC. Boom, 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 boom. Madras session is the session in which Simon Commission was. Yes, I remember this one. Madras session was. In Calcutta session was a special one for not cooperation. Madras, and then there was Lahore, and then there will be let me see. Communism began steady. Nehru report was a disaster to make alternate constitution of party leaders. Didn't pass at all. Disagree. Country came in a move for a struggle. Huge protest on arrival. Black flag demonstration in Ishmael. JEE comes back from retirement and recognizes the left wing. Lahore session 1929. Jawaharlal Nehru made the president. So Simon Commission last session CDM. Socialism was affecting both of them. Okay, 26 January 31st Independence Day was established. Yeah. I'm loving it, loving it, loving it. Yeah. Loving it, loving it, loving it, loving it, loving it. Yeah, loving it. I'm liking study. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, we got CDM. Okay. Simon Commission, correct. Black flag demonstration, Nehru report. So there are 2-3 things that have been left, which I will see in value addition. That is, what was the Nehru report? It's civil and fundamental right type of situation that were there. And then Balfour Declaration is directly related to Nehru report. The Dominion state is bullshit. Then Jinnah's demand, 14 demands on the basis of representation, fair, there is fair representation, freedom of religion, uh, some territorial something territorial related, and that okay one. Some on in those headings. Now, civil disobedience movement was to start in Lahore if there was to be something huge protest, but chosen as yes, even civil disobedience. They started from this. Oh, 13 and 14 both are done now. We will watch some YouTube. Have not watched YouTube. Oh yeah. Nothing really matters. Anyone can see. Nothing really matters to me. Anywhere the wind blows. Dum 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 dum. Yo.
What it do, flight crew? FTC. Flight T stand up! FTC the strongest is finally August. We got spoiled son refuses to get a job and instantly regrets it. By the man Darn Martin. Now before we seen spoiled son, refuses to do chores and instantly regrets it. Now let's see what happens when Spoilsome refuses to get a job, especially when times can get tough. Check it out.
Hey, sweetheart. Why are you still in your pajamas? I thought you had an interview today.
Yeah, I'm not going to that.
Bruh,
Hey, like,
you already got.
$14 per hour? Who on earth would work for that?
Someone who has bills to pay? That's who. But you don't have any of those, so you wouldn't understand. Have you seen the...
Damn, that's all the milk?
You used all the milk.
Oh, sorry.
Bro, what the
Big bowl. Other people share this milk too, you know.
It's not that serious. Just buy another gallon after work.
It's easy for you to say
what
you're
the
not the
heck?
one paying for it.
Exactly.
Whatever.
Bro, there's no way in hell I'll be able to talk to my mom like that, bro, growing up. How are y'all getting away with this shit, bro? Especially the whatever. She would have came right over there. Pop! Like,
It's not that serious. Just buy another gallon after work.
It's easy for
bro,
you to say
especially said it in that tone. It's not that serious, bro. That is
You're
not
not the one
flying
paying
in
for
like
it.
the household growing up, bro.
Whatever.
Oh man.
Hey, buddy. Hey, sweetheart.
Hi, good morning.
Why is it so cold in here?
I'm glad you said something. I thought it was just me. Did you turn on the
These people
AC?
do look familiar.
Yep. This morning.
It's freezing in here. What temperature did you set it at? 67 degrees? Do you know how much electricity this uses?
Well, it's hot. What else do you want me to do?
Well,
Bro, look how he's talking to his mom.
For starters.
But then I'll be cold.
Exactly. And you don't have to pump up the AC. What do you have to say?
Try not to use the AC so much. Okay, buddy?
Why
You're
is
being
his
so dramatic?
Why is the dad scared to talk
And it's
to
not even that expensive.
Oh, okay. So you pay the electricity bill all on your own. Oh wait, you can't because you don't have a job.
my man's looking
Not this
stoned,
lecture
man.
again, please. Dad, can you tell her something before she goes crazy?
It's okay, honey. He's still young. He's got time.
He's 18 years old. When I was his age, I had 2 jobs and I paid all my own bills.
That was facts. I was same here.
This again.
Just stacking shaking Chick-fil-A in this
What?
bed.
You're just gonna leave your cereal there.
Bro, this dude is spoiled. I mean, yo, look. Yo, okay, you see, this is the thing. I don't have sympathy up to a point like right here when like kids will act like this towards their parents because you raised them to be like that. You know what I'm saying? You didn't discipline them to.
He just thinks money grows on trees.
He'll learn one day. Do we have any more milk?
No.
Daniel poured all the rest of the milk in this big bowl of cereal and then just left it.
And you just let them left it.
I'll just drink my coffee black.
Ew. Internet bill increases 75. Sheesh.
Why does our internet bill say that it's going up? Did you change our plan?
Oh, he may have.
No? Maybe Daniel did.
Oh shit.
Are you serious?
Wait, how does that
You
add
know
to the
he's gonna
bills?
say, well, what's the big deal? When he's not paying for
Bro,
it.
how do you let him
I
just?
think we need to put our foot down.
Wow, when he's almost 18 years old?
You're right, sweetheart.
It's your time to put the foot down and you decide at 18 years old when he's 18?
The toothpaste is out.
What?
Pick some up after work.
Sure, son.
You're literally afraid to talk to your own child, bro.
Did you change our internet package?
Oh yeah. It was lagging on Warzone, so I upgraded our services. It's only like $40 more a month. It's not that big of a deal.
$40 a month is a lot of money. What are you doing?
What? It's empty.
No, look at this. Let me see
No,
your...
no way. I don't want toothpaste that's been in the trash.
Your dad and I will use it then.
Bro, you're letting your own child bully you.
Changing
This
our-
ain't happening.
Without letting us know.
It's lagging. What do you want me to do?
Who's that?
Don't play the game!
I have a package for Daniel.
Oh
Damn.
my god!
Just here.
This dude right here. Look how he runs!
Let's continue, bro. Hey! Let's go. Session 15, bro. That was nice. I enjoyed that. Yes. So CDM was started 12 to 6 April, 12 March to 6 April 1930. Dandi March happens from Sabarmati Ashram to Dandi because Dandi naturally produces salt and neither it is too far nor it is too close. They started frenzy of civil disobedience. Salt law was broken all over the country. Forest law in wherever Maharashtra, Karnataka, Andhra Pradesh, a central province basically. Central province, alright. Peasants didn't pay taxes and getting land confiscated. कि land ले लीजिए क्या कर लोगे took part in satyagraha. Geographical extent. South India, salt and forest law. Northwest, Pathans under frontier Gandhi Khodai khidmatkars. Peshawar Garhwali soldiers refuse. Peshawar में गढ़वाली soldiers थे bro. Government resorted to brutal repression. 90k arrested and imprisoned. South India worst hit. Congress declared illegal. Yeah, brutal repression. 90,000 लोगों को कर लिया arrest. 90,000 bro. What? Bro, today compared with today, bro. In Myanmar, how many people were arrested, bro? And what is going on in Myanmar, bro? What is going on in Yemen, bro? Can people report it? Damn, bro. Oh yeah, oh yeah. Geographical extent. South India. So this was happened. 90,000. Alright. South India worst hit. After this, so civil disobedience movement occurred. First was not, and to arrive in second, CDM was stopped. No, gotta go, gotta leave you all behind. Urban accepted right to salt, right to peaceful picket. Non-violent political prisoners must be released. Many one suggests. Listen, man. Remember that in March 1931, 23 May 1931, 23 May. March. Fuck me, I am fucking retarded. 23 March. 23 March 1931. So one placeholder, again one more placeholder in memory that should be there is that Bhagat Singh was Bhagat Singh were the great Bhagat Singh were great intellectual, in fact, great intellectual Bhagat Singh. Great intellectual Bhagat Singh were hanged unfairly. I mean, unfairly in the sense of he didn't harm anybody. 1931, 23 March, which simply means that now remember, because the round table conferences and the events around it are asked multiple times because they are very close. The placeholder is the absolute amazing Omega. 1931, 23 March, just before this must have happened. Must have happened before this, the second one. And how can you say this? Because of the incident that people were enraged by the failure of Mahatma Gandhi to commute the sentence of Bhagat Singh. To commute that sentence. Arvind did not, after which the guy was hanged. So that is a unique and nice placeholder in memory. Why Gandhiji signed the Gandhi Pact when they refused too many demands? Master can go indefinitely. CDM is suspended and INC agrees to Gandhi Pact. Result of CDM brought equal national movement, penetrated army because the Gadwali soldiers in Peshawar didn't fire. Second round table conference September. What the? Oh shit, bruv, 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 you are retarded, bruv, you are retarded. What the hell did you just say? It was Gandhi Arvind Pact that was signed before hanging of Bhagat Singh in 1931. Round Table Conference was held in 1932. After, obviously, it has to be after Arvind Pact. So stupid. You are so stupid. Mama just killed a man, put a gun against his head. Pull my trigger, now he's dead. Mama, life had just begun. Karachi session. Lahore session was where CDM was decided. I mean, before which CDM decided in March it was done. Karachi session, CDM was suspended in Karachi session. Madras session, Simon, go back. Lahore session, CDM. Karachi session, CDM to suspend. Round table 2. CDM was resumed. Immediate dominion status which was denied back in India. Peasant unrest due to Great Depression causing crash in peasants' campaign. Money, no rent, no tax. Campaign launched. Rested. Independent Satyagraha. Where is Independent Satyagraha? Chagar. Obviously, after the start of World War II, it will happen. 1935 के गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया एक्ट के बारे में बात करेंगे जब वैल्यू एडिशन के बारे में बात करें। वैल्यू एडिशन के अंदर बहुत एडिशन है इसके अंदर। आई ओ यस, not only this, I have to do just when I finish this, right? When I finish my notes. Yes. Now this is where, so basically what happened recently, just now what was happening was I was getting tired and a loss of focus was there momentarily, but I pulled myself back together by the fact that I know for a fact what I have to do today. What I have to do today. That would make me more efficient than the coming days or the coming two sessions. We discussed what we had to do. We had to come. Oh, yes. Oh, no. Okay. We had to do notes today. We have to do it. We have to do it. Even a spectrum, if we could do spectrum thing, it would be nice then, but it is what it is. It is what it is. So Karachi session not only okay, so Karachi session did two things. So Karachi session did two things. CDM was suspended plus Congress was made. Objective resolution was not signed, but here for FRN uh, economic policy result. See what I was going to do? I was going to say Eclipse Vision and whatever crisis. The book referred to. I did not see it. And there is major work in this. Cripps mission caused within a movement. Earliest possible transfer. Beholder 92 occurs. Obviously, session 15th is over with. I'm going to take a nap. Yo. All right. Only 2 sessions remain for this time. Session 16 and session 17.
Hello, everyone. In order to parallel transport the electron field from one point to another, we need a connection, and that connection is a separate field with its own dynamics, and we call it the photon. That is a way of thinking about why electromagnetism exists at all. Okay. Then, that's one force of nature. We have another force called the strong force, strong nuclear force, but it's inside the nucleus, not between nuclei these days. And that's QCD. That's what we just talked about. So that is an SU3 gauge symmetry, a separate SU3 rotation at every point. So I'm not going to. So because now there are 3 quark fields, right? For every kind of quark, for every flavor of quark, like up, there's a red, a green, and a blue. So there's again indices, and you need a matrix to sort of rotate them into each other. Let's just not go there. We don't need all those complications. But what we need is the fact that there is an associated connection field. So the connection for QCD is called the gluon field. And just like there are 3 different colors of quarks, there are 8 different gluons. Why are there 8 different gluons? Can you think about it? Because SU3 is an 8-dimensional group. That's why there's 8 different kinds of gluons. So one gluon field for every different way that you can rotate the quark fields into each other. So again, this is a specific version of what we call Yang-Mills theories. Yang and Mills, C. N. Yang and R. Mills, in the 1950s took electromagnetism, which is a U1 gauge theory. They had figured that out by now. Probably Weil figured that out. And Yang and Mills said, well, look, we know there are these more complicated groups, these non-abelian groups. Remember, we said abelian meant that a symmetry has the property that it doesn't matter how you do one rotation versus another. The order of operations does not matter if you're non-abelian. And for U1, that's the case. If I'm just rotating around a circle, it doesn't matter whether I rotate by 5 degrees and then 10 degrees, or if I rotate by 10 degrees and then 5 degrees. Okay, you get the same answer. But if I'm in multiple dimensions, I can rotate around one axis and then another, and suddenly it does matter which order I do it in, so you get a non-abelian group. So Yang and Mills were the ones who proposed this idea that there could be non-abelian gauge groups of which would give rise to forces of nature. We didn't know what the groups were. We didn't know what the forces were at the time. So it was Nambu and Gelman and Fritsch and other people who first put together the actual SU3 gauge theory that is the strong interactions. Quantum chromodynamics, in other words. When we have the weak force, The weak interactions are more complicated, and the reason why they're more complicated is because of spontaneous symmetry breaking. Okay, so we'll get to that, but the actual way the standard model of particle physics works out is this beautiful, intricate, complex structure that, you know, you look at it and it kind of looks ugly and kludged together, but then you play with it and you realize in some sense it's the most general thing. Like, given certain constraints, given certain symmetries, etc., the standard model is what it is. It couldn't have been anything else. So it's kind of beautiful in that weird sense. It's a beautiful thing once you learn to appreciate it. So for our purposes right now, all we're going to say is that you can think of the weak interactions as rotations of the two-dimensional space that can be spanned by, let's say, up quarks and down quarks. Okay, so not three different colors of quarks, which are true for each up or down, but rotating up and down quarks into each other. That's what that's what the weak interactions do. So that is an SU2 gauge theory, because the gauge theory you can do it separately everywhere at every different point in space. The up and down quarks are themselves complex, so it's an SU2 gauge theory rather than SO2 or something like that. And it's not just up and down, it's also other what we call doublets, weak doublets. So the electron and the electron neutrino are another weak doublet, and there's other different copies. Again, there's complications here because of symmetry breaking, but this is the basic idea. So I just need to say this out loud because otherwise it's going to bug me. These don't look like there's a symmetry between them. Everyone knows which is the electron and which is the neutrino. Okay, the electrons are negatively charged. The neutrino is uncharged. It's neutral. The up quark is charged plus 2/3. The down quark is charged minus 1/3. They have different masses. So the quark colors, red, green, and blue, all three colors are really exactly the same in every way because of the symmetry relating them. Here, this looks awkward because the up and down quarks are not the same. They have different masses, different charges. The electron and neutrino are not the same. Different masses, different charges. That's because the symmetry is broken, okay? I just got to get that off my chest. The symmetry is there, but it's hidden from us, so it's not manifest in this way of writing things down. Finally, there's gravity. Now, you might have been told that gravity is theory of the geometry of space-time. We talked about geometry. We haven't really talked about gravity in any detail yet, but we talked about geometry. We talked about the fact that there's a metric that lets you measure distances along curves or areas or volumes and so forth. There's also a connection in space-time that lets you move vectors, parallel transport them along curves, and there's a relationship. You can derive the connection from the metric. So up here, there is just the connection. This is an internal symmetry, okay? The symmetry is in this internal space. It's not pointing in different directions in space-time. At every point in space-time, you can do the rotation, but what you're rotating is not the directions of space-time themselves. It's this internal, made-up, fictitious space, red, green, and blue. So here there is a connection, but there's no metric. There's no distances. There's just a way of comparing vectors by parallel transporting them. Here in space-time, you have both. You have both a metric and a connection, and that's what makes it much more complicated. Okay, again, there's this theorem that, you know, the world arranges itself to be as complicated as possible for graduate students in theoretical physics. So there's the electromagnetic force, the strong force, the weak force, and gravity. They're all in some sense gauge theories, but they're all different. This is fun, but also a little bit annoying. Okay. What is the gauge group? So this idea was actually first proposed by R. Utiyama in the 50s, something like that, soon after Yang and Mills proposed non-abelian gauge theories. Utiyama says, well, let's think of gravity, let's think of general relativity as a gauge theory. And he said that it could be, the gauge group was SO3, 1. What is that? Well, you know, we talked about rotations, right? SON is the rotations of n real vectors. Space-time is four-dimensional, so you might think that the gauge group of space-time is SO4, because you can rotate things together. But a little bit of reflection makes you think, wait a minute, I can't just rotate space and time into each other in the same way. There's a slight difference there, right? What I can do is boost, I can change the velocity at which I look at space and time. I can change my reference frame. So there is a slight difference in space-time between the time-like direction and the space-like directions. So this is what SO3, 1 means. It means there are three dimensions of space and one dimension of time. And this is actually the group of transformations you can do at a point in space-time. It turns out that for technical reasons, this is not the best way of thinking about general relativity or gravity. This is what is called the Lorentz group. Lorentz transformations, right? Lorentz transformations include rotations in space as well as boosts. There's also the Poincaré group. I'm not going to get the accent in the correct direction, but Henri Poincaré was a very advanced mathematician. He knew all about the group theory that was being developed. It was hot stuff back then. And the Poincaré group is the Lorentz group. So Lorentz group is rotations and boosts plus translations. Translations are just you move everything, either in space or in time. And it turns out, again, technical reasons, but it's best to think of gravity as a gauge theory of the Poincaré group, not just of the Lorentz group, okay? It's all because space-time is special. Unlike all of these forces, unlike electromagnetism, strong and weak nuclear forces, all of which are internal symmetries relating fields to each other at the same point in space-time, gravity actually is transformations of space-time itself. That's why it becomes a little bit more complicated. We're not going to talk about this at all, by the way. We're not going to talk about gravity as a gauge theory or anything like that. I just want you to know that it's something you can talk about and people have been talking about. It's unclear whether you get any benefit from talking about it that way. Like Einstein back in 1915 invented the theory, and that's more or less a good way of thinking about it. Okay. I just wanted to let you know that all four of these forces of nature can be thought of as gauge theories, one way or the other. Let's now shift gears and put it to work a little bit, okay? Let's actually make some money off of the fact that there are these symmetries. So what do we know? We know that we have some quantum fields. We know that the quantum fields appear in different forms. They're complex. Some of them are complex, so they have U1 gauge symmetries. Some of them are doublets, so they have an SU2. Some of them are triplets of color, so they have an SU3. That's where the standard model gauge group comes from. We know that the existence of these gauge symmetries itself implies new fields, the connection fields, okay? And the connection fields give rise to physical particles. Oh yes, I forgot to tell you the physical particles. For the weak interactions, they are the W and Z bosons. So for electromagnetism, the photon, strong force, the gluons, for the weak force, the W and Z bosons are the physical excitations, physical vibrations in the SU2 connection field, okay? I mean, look, think about that. You totally understand that. You understand that sentence perfectly well. W and Z bosons are the physical excitations from vibrations in the SU2 gauge field. I bet you would not have understood that sentence nearly as well just a few weeks ago. Progress is being made. Okay. Maybe none of us understand it perfectly. Don't be upset about that. All right. But the existence of these fields giving rise to interactions, giving rise to forces of nature, comes from the gauge symmetry. That's the first important lesson. The next important lesson is that the existence of these symmetries places an incredibly strong constraint on what the theory actually is. Remember, we talked about effective field theories in the ideal lecture on renormalization. We made a big deal about the fact that we could put a cutoff on our quantum field theory. We could admit that we cannot extend it to arbitrarily high energies. And then you might think that there's an infinite number of terms in the defining equations of motion for your fields, right? You need some equations of motion to give dynamics to the fields you're talking about. And in fact, the way we do that is again through an action. So an action is the integral over time of
No, I cannot understand, bro. Oh. चल पी कर झूमे चल पी कर झूमे शीशे का खिलौना था Section 16 is done, bro. Now waning. Just last association. Let's laugh a bit.
What in the world?
My
did
man's
you
on
order
StockX
this
and
time?
paid $1,300 for that PS5, man.
How in the world did you pay for that?
Oh, I used your credit card.
You used our credit card. Did he talk to you about this?
And how are you
You
so
didn't say
calm
anything
about this?
Daniel, how could you charge something so expensive on our card without talking to us?
It was only a few $100s. What's the big deal?
It was only what you don't have.
$100? Do you know how hard it is to earn a few $100s? No, you don't. Because all you do is lay on the couch in your pajamas, drink the last bit of milk, pump the AC, and spend money on our credit card without paying for it.
Relax, Mom. You're blowing this way out of proportion. Dad, can you tell her?
Your mom's right, son. You gotta listen to her.
That's it. Enough is enough. I am returning this. So going forward, if you want to spend money, you spend your own money. So that you can learn that money does not grow on trees.
What? No, this is so unfair.
It's for your own good, Daniel.
You know what? Fine. I don't need you guys to buy me anything. I'll get my own job and buy everything myself.
Good.
Finally, like what the heck? It
I
took
don't need to
you.
live here anymore either.
Damn, he's moving out.
Moving into my own apartment.
Wait, Daniel, let's talk about... Are you sure this was all necessary?
This isn't easy on me either. But I know in my heart that this is the only way he is going to learn.
You say so.
The mom and dad stand there hoping Daniel finally learns not to be wasteful with money. The next week, Daniel starts interviewing for jobs. Because he doesn't have much experience, all he gets offered is an entry-level position. He hesitates, but after remembering he has bills to pay, he decides to take the offer and starts working right away. A few weeks later, he moves into his new apartment.
I like that.
Everything seems to be going great.
Look how he's walking!
Until he realizes how much money he has to spend paying all of his new bills.
Oh yeah, reality hits, huh?
Daniel quickly sees how much even buying basic things like milk and toothpaste can quickly add up.
Yes, sir.
It doesn't take long for all of his hard-earned money to disappear.
That's fucked up. 2 cents in his bag.
Now that he's paying for everything himself, he becomes a lot more responsible to save on bills. A lot less wasteful to save on groceries. And he squeezes every last drop out of everything he has.
Should have been done that.
Daniel finally learns the importance of not wasting money.
There you go.
And then one day, Daniel goes to pay a visit to his parents.
Daniel, you look great. Come on in, bud.
Thanks, Dad.
Hi, Daniel. You look nice. It's good to see you.
It's good to see you too, Mom. Talk to you guys some things.
Bro, this dude's personality is
some
funny as
stuff.
hell, bro. This Daniel dude.
First off, Now your water filter.
Oh shit.
You guys spend so much money on water bottles. This will help reduce that cost.
Oh, I never thought of that. I'm impressed. I guess that will help us save a lot.
Thanks.
Doing all
Also
the
got you
things extra.
double padded toilet paper. That way you can split it in half and get the most out of each roll.
Well, maybe your mom can split hers in half, but I like the extra padding.
Well, if at least one of you guys do it, you'll save a lot of money.
Oh.
Oh, and I also got you this. Since you like oranges, I got you seeds to plant them.
Okay.
That way you don't have to buy oranges anymore.
Wow, I am so proud of you, honey. But I'm confused. I thought you said spending extra money wasn't that big of a deal.
Yeah, well, it took me getting my own job and paying for my own bills. But I finally understand. Money doesn't grow on trees.
Well, luckily oranges do, so we don't have to worry about that.
Bro.
Hey man, that's just man. Coming up with that transcendence before me a million.
No morning. No morning. Yeah, we got no
What do you
morning.
do, flight crew?
Yo, no.
FTC. Flight.
Bro, last session he puts a smile on his face, and that gives me energy for one last session. Yes. दिल चल पी कर झूमे इन्हीं गलियों में घूमे दिल. To summarize in simplified form the procedure of setting up. Yes. I forgot. Notation of your field. SON. Now S and UN means when your field there is complex, then the rotation about n dimension form from this group. If that is a accent. How do I put accent? E hat. E. How do I put accent? Control Shift. Shift 6. Yeah. Let's just say that is why they just bold it. Come on, baby. Yes, we can do that. Valid attention. Days of hits. Days of changes. Same electrical transit. Days change. फटाफट क्या करके आ रहा हूँ Ah, bros. Session 17 is over with. Come for 2 sessions more, and then we will be done for the day. Done for the day. Done for the day. Bye bye.